Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Phillips. One round to go in Monster Energy AMA Supercross. We have finished Denver this past weekend. Pretty good race overall. Obviously, some dynamics to discuss in the 250 class, no question about it. But even a good 450 race, some cool things going on in a battle for second, and now a third-place championship fight as well. So there's actually kind of some things going on in this championship fight that are interesting to talk about, and got to see my buddy Big Lou again this weekend. Got to hang out with a lot of awesome people. Got to call a pulp race. A lot of things went on this weekend in Denver, Big Lou.
Yeah, it was a good time. Lot of laughs. I think I was in tears twice, which is always a sign of a good day.
I was watching my job.
I was explaining to someone last week how, yes, we're flying to these races for work, but actually the core of what happens on these work days is the furthest thing from work ever, and it's in fact maybe the most social part of my week.
Yeah, I mean, look, to a degree, I wish that we would work harder, if that's what you want to call it, during race day. But also on the flip side, we actually end up getting a lot of scoops out of what goes on in the press box. Not just because like us bantering, but there's so many athletes coming up to the press box now, which seems so unprecedented. Like that didn't used to happen all the time. That now we're just getting like JB and AC and J-Mart talking, and obviously Seven Deuce Deuce has things that he talks about and what's going on with Roxon, and like there's just so many people up there. So there's actually real work going on. It's just not maybe always looking.
But it's fun. And also, but like this is also a fundamental issue with just the sport in America. With it being one day, there isn't room to really work on race day.
Yeah,
because of the timings and the issue with how quickly things go out of date. Like in GPs, I used to do a practice report, a Saturday report, and then Sunday, obviously, because there was time that allowed that. Because between practice and qualifying, there was 4 hours. So like that's enough time to do something. And then at one point I was doing a Saturday night qualifying write-up and a qualifying podcast. You know, like that's the one thing I wish we had time for in America, is time to just embrace the event more. But instead you turn up, you blink, you leave, you know?
Do you I've never really like considered doing this, but do you ever think that we should like be doing a press day wrap up, like instead of just interviews on press day that go up and people listen to them, like a beyond that, some sort of podcast or write up or something that is like, here's the things that we learned on press day?
So funny you say that. I literally had a conversation about that an hour ago, and as of this weekend I'm going to try and do some sort of press day podcast. But when I first came here, I was doing a press day write up as well, just with like observations from the riding, track changes, track map to track reality. Yeah. But it just kind of, I don't know, I just didn't really feel like people cared. But then I didn't do it long enough for it to gain traction. So that's kind of on me.
Yeah, I just asked because you said like you would be there obviously 3 days for MXGP and you'd write all these reports. And like, to be honest, there are a lot of things we learn on press day that doesn't always get either told in those interviews that we're discussing with people, or even like my news break thing with Swap. Like I'm not spilling a bunch of the information I learned. So it could be kind of interesting.
No, yeah, in reality, I think the press day is more important than race day for us specifically in what we do. Because typically the interviews we get on press day are better than the ones we get on Saturday. There's more time to just talk, more room to breathe a little bit. Everyone's more relaxed. Because maybe it's a fundamental issue with me, and maybe I know some people maybe think it's weird, but like I don't really bother people in the day at a Supercross because I don't like being that guy who's in between practice and a night show just walking into trucks and being like, hey! But I think that's also very MXGP, because in MXGP, the trucks are just a workspace. They're not hospitality, and, you know, there's not like the bunks and stuff. So there's not really a need to go in there. So still for me, the idea of just walking into the truck is quite foreign, because that is simply a mechanic's workspace in Europe.
It is, yeah. I mean, like, there's only a handful of trucks that I feel really comfortable walking into, and none of them are factory teams, because, like, those guys actually want us to come in, but factory teams are like, yeah, I don't know about that. So
it's also, I've always said as well, though, like, and maybe not, maybe I'm overreading this, but I always think that that's how I kind of built my relationships in MXGP, that I would bullshit and chew people's ears off from up until the second practice started. And when the second practice started, I'd leave people alone until the race was over, because it's like, okay, I don't need to bother you now. Like, you don't need to hear from me. Yeah. And I think to a degree, people respected that. But I think if the culture in America is very different, and the bullshit in between is more wanted. I don't know.
Well, but it's working because, you're getting these Chase Sexton scoops all the time, and you're not bothering him throughout the day. Is that the best post-race chase we've had? I mean, just BSing for a half hour with the media, and then you get your 20 minutes and Evan with him. So
yes. Well, as a group, yes, but obviously I've had...
No, I know, but I mean, his demeanor and banter and everything like that, I feel like was all time.
He's just good guy. He's again, there's a pattern with Lewis. Hurlings, very similar. Sewer, very similar. Just all, it's not secret. Just talk to the people that want to talk to you.
Yep, there you go. All right, we'll get into the show now because we've almost wasted 7 minutes of the time here.
That was a good talk.
Oh, that was good. But thanks to Leatt, Racetech, Partzilla, and Namura, everyone who backs the show. Like we said, we'll tell you guys more about them throughout the show. So we're actually going to do something a little bit different to start off the show today. Normally, I do my 3 topics. Lewis does his 3 topics. But because we kind of know what topic 1 is going to be about, I'm going to let my guy Lewis lead off today. What are we talking about, Big Lou?
What, you're talking about the elephant in the room?
Yeah. Where is he, by the way?
The one we have to address.
Yeah.
How good was Chase Star? That was funny. No, of course, for Hayden Deegan, Cole Davies incident. Although, actually, this on-track incident, I feel it started as very much the thing. Slowly over time, the off-track incidents are starting to overcome the on-track incident and dwarf the meaning of that somewhat. I feel like now the focus is more on what transpired after the fact. But all in all, this timeline is very important to the sport. I don't know if you know this, but this Hayden Deegan guy is fairly polarizing in all markets.
Yeah.
So I guess we start with the pass, no? Or do you want to start with the off-track?
No, we can start with the pass, but I mean, to your point, I think that it did kind of start with the pass, like a little bit, especially with how the fans reacted in the stadium, because the fans were booing Hayden before his podium interview. But
yeah, how emotionally unstable was our audience on Saturday? Because there was no booing when the pass happened. Then we had booing before the interview, but very quickly that turned to cheers.
No, but the pass, okay, so like the booing when the pass happened thing, like when Ferrandis cleaned out Christian Craig, there was not booing as the pass happened. There was like shock and whoa and cheering sort of, and then booing for Ferrandis as soon as the race was over. So I kind of feel that was the same thing.
That's actually really weird now that you mention it. Why don't we get boos in the moment? Why is it only after the fact? Is that not I feel like it's
so
normal.
Like it happens so fast that people don't have time to like stop and think about it.
Yeah, I guess. But then with something like that, isn't the shock factor what makes you boo? Like, oh my God, that was absolutely crazy. Boo.
Maybe.
Oh.
But yeah, I guess so. Let's start off with the pass, as you mentioned. To me, much ado about nothing. JT synopsized this, and I felt gave it a perfect answer of like on an aggression scale to 10 being the most aggressive thing he's ever seen, and 1 being like no one even touched each other. This is about a 3. I think Davies kind of left the door open, and Hayden was going to come down the inside, and I think that there was just inevitable contact there. Did Deegan go a little deep into the corner? Yeah. The one thing that this stands out to me is like, Steve said Mitch Payton post-race was like, you don't do that to a teammate. And that's where I agree. Even in a championship fight, you don't punt your teammate off the track. But I don't even know that I look at this as like, man, he fully just laid him out off the track. Like, that was just kind of weird contact that put him over a berm, to me at least.
Yeah, working backwards, I think, and I do not believe that this is correct, but if you're on Star, I think you kind of just have to accept the fact that the word teammate is essentially meaningless in the context of Deegan.
Yeah.
Whether you subscribe to that theory, I don't think that Deegan will ever acknowledge, oh, this is my teammate, I better lay off. I think Deegan has his friends, and some of those may be his teammate, but even that, I think that line can very quickly get blurred. And yeah, the pass, very simple to me. Cole spun out a little bit, leaving the turn beforehand after the finish, which immediately opened the door for Deegan, and you would think in that moment Cole would be like, I've lost drive and time. I need to cover the inside and go defensive, but for whatever reason he didn't. I don't know if maybe he didn't realize Hayden was that close.
Maybe.
Because it is odd to me that you wouldn't cover the inside at all. He was really out wide, like he was really opening up that turn. So yeah, I don't know. Weird. Yeah. But yeah, I blame racing incident, of course, but if I'm putting blame on someone, I'm putting it on Davies, not Deegan.
Yeah. Let's go kind of chronological order with this for a second. The pass happens, the race ends, Deegan goes off the track, there's like some of the booing. I want to quickly talk about Cole Davies because he was seen on the backside of that berm. There's video of it now. He was clearly like emotional / crying a little bit. And then Aaron Plessinger came up to him, Justin Cooper, Dylan Ferrandis, Colt Nichols, Joey Savacci all came up and said something to him. And to me, like, I see a lot of people that are Deegan fans here being like, dude, you got left the door open, you got taken out, like, quit complaining or whatever. But another thing that people always forget about, like, this fight for the win, and this could go in Deegan's favor too, is that there's actually a lot of effing money just for a race win on the line. So even for Cole Davies here, like losing a race win, as much as he probably just wants to win the race, like he also lost a lot of money right there. And I think a lot of these guys don't ever get enough credit for how much that raises the stakes for one race victory alone. So I think that the guys coming up to him and all that and him being emotional, like I'm all fine with that. Like I don't think that needs to be blown out of proportion at all.
Yeah, maybe I've not been paying attention, but I haven't seen people making fun of him too much. At all, really. Yeah, maybe I'm not in. Maybe my algorithm isn't quite as aggressive as yours. Maybe your algorithm's picking up on your
I just know, like
cynicism for life.
I saw that because the video that surfaced was like on an Instagram page. So then I saw the comments on the Instagram page, and like half of them are like, "You're gonna do great things, young man," and blah blah blah, and then the other half is like, "What a bitch, stop crying," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I think also, yes, some money to your point, but also Cole is still young enough and hasn't had so many wins that each win he almost lives and dies by still. It's not to the point where it's like, oh, I'll get him next week. I've already got 20 of these. So I think that added to it. And also the fact that so many riders went up to him. From what I gather in the pits, there are a lot of 450 guys that are fans of Davies' style, technique, and just approach to racing on the track. Mm-hmm. Maybe not his personality off of it, because there's not much there. He's going to be back this weekend, though. That was very clear in his post-race interview. But I think there are a lot of 450 guys that somewhat idolize his style and have a lot of respect for that on-track talent.
Yeah.
So I think that led to the outpouring of support.
Yeah, and I mean,
a slightly odd group though, like Plessinger, Nichols, Jacob, and Ferrandis. Like, there's nothing tying that cohesive group together.
Well, other than Joey, everyone that came up to him is ridden for Star, and so I would assume that maybe they're gonna they could have given him a little bit of insight into like, hey man, this may suck right now, and you may get a talking to or whatever, just something like that. But you got a long career ahead of you, kind of thing. I don't know, something like that.
You know what I've just realised? That's not shocking that they have all ridden for Star, because a lot of riders have ridden for Star. We need to get a stat on how many of the current top 450 riders have touched Star at some point.
Well, again, like every single rider that also came up to him except for Savacci has won a 250 title too. So they have the resume behind him.
Savacci go up. I didn't know that.
Savacci was the last guy there. I didn't know that either, but I saw on the video that Savacci did come up too. So
I'm sure Savacci's glass half empty approach really uplifted.
So, I don't mean to steal your topic, but chronologically going on from here, let's talk about the comments on the podium, which is what drew the ire of the AMA mostly, from what I understand. Not the pass or anything like that. Deegan was called into the rig after all the championship celebrations and the press conference and everything like that to talk about him saying "suck it," which again, I think most people are going to be like, why are people so soft? But again, this is also a sport that attracts a lot of families and kids, and you have to keep a certain mold to some degree. So I think he got a warning, right? It wasn't that big of a deal, but just something that they wanted to say to him. But just take me through your thoughts on the podium comments, because that seems to be where most of the drama has been derived from now.
It has lost all shock factor because it's Deegan. And anything he says isn't going to surprise me at this point. If those words had come out of Coop or Chase's mouth, it would be like, oh my God. But Deegan, I'm almost immune to it. Similar to the way I'm drinking this Monster, and it no longer has an effect on me, the caffeine, because I'm just immune to it. I've had it too much. It's overplayed. I want to say this. Deegan's approach in interviews and personality changes quite drastically day to day, hour to hour. Because I've had instances where I interview Deegan, and it's been quite a nice interview. Good answers, intelligent, in depth, interesting, and other in words. I've also done interviews with Deegan where I've walked away and gone, what the fuck was that? So I don't really, like, I'm saying this because that proves that this isn't just him, his personality. As we know, there's a bit of like a character and stuff. I don't really know what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
Other than that, his approach to interviews does change day to day, so it's not like this probably was full show a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. But I also do think that I've kind of been the type of person, to me at least, that never really holds what a rider says immediately-ish following a race against him, in a way. For example, when Dungey won his 4th title battling Eli Tomac in Las Vegas, the bunching technique and all that stuff, and Dungey in the interview, granted it was like right after the race, but in the interview said like Eli took a bunch of cheap shots and then the crowd booed him. And then Dungey later in the post-race press conference, 30 minutes later, kind of said like, oh, it was actually okay, like I'm not that mad about it. And so I almost wonder if like in this situation for Deegan, like the adrenaline of the crowd booing and all that stuff is what caused even the comments that he made to come out. Like to me, as you said, Hayden in an interview setting when it's calm and collected and stuff it has been a very different person, has been super nice and very, forthcoming with giving credit to other people and stuff like that. But then on the podium, when the adrenaline is pumping, he seems to like to up the ante a little bit. And I don't really care. To me, it's cool that he says it. I don't really care if he doesn't or does say it. And I don't think fans should be that upset about it.
It's funny. This is going to be the weirdest thing I've ever said. Saying suck it is a very American thing. It doesn't really get used in the other, like it's not really used, it's not really an insult. What would you call it? Like a flex? I don't know. But it's not really used in other parts of the world, I don't feel.
No.
So it's kind of immune. I don't really think much of it because it's not really like part of my, or what, I don't know.
I mean, it really is nothing. The AMA thing is just, that adds fuel to the flame that the AMA called him in for it. Because to me, it's nothing. Like we've heard Cooper Webb saying like you sometimes just got to jack it off in press conferences.
Yeah, that's probably
which to me is worse than that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think mainly the AMA were just like, there's a lot that's happened here. We've got to do something, so just bring him in. No, this is a bad example, but also it's the only example I can think of. So let's go for it. Like in the TV shows, like Power, where the FBI know who the drug dealers are, but they haven't got hard evidence, so they bring them in and try and make something stick. But they don't have anything, because they don't have any evidence, even though they know. So they're kind of just bringing them in for the point of like, fuck, we've got to bring them in. It's kind of what the AMA did. They were like, there's a lot here, a lot that needs to be done. We don't really have any hard evidence to make anything stick, but we've got to bring him in because he's running fucking rabid. Rabid? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I think happened.
Okay, the last thing then we can talk about with this is there's been so much discourse online about sort of the past that has now turned into people complaining about what he said post-race, not being more respectful as a teammate, if you will, because Davies took the high road in this regard. Are you surprised by this? Like, in any facet that the fans are this diverse? Because obviously Deegan has been very polarizing, and fans have always had either positive or negative opinions about him. But to me, like, this is not that high on the scale of things that he's either done or said. And it seems like because of this situation and him winning the title, and it's just creating a lot more drama than I expected out of it.
Yeah, but again, it's like I said off the top, it's Deegan, so is it ever surprising?
Yeah, I guess maybe not.
I really feel like I've gotten to the point now where anything to do with Deegan, are either fan reaction or comments or him, or like it doesn't really register with me because I'm just like, that is part of the game. Again, whereas if this was any other rider, I'd probably be a lot more shocked. But I'm just like, well, this is part of the process with Deegan, and not good, not bad. Like it's just it's what comes with it. I don't
know. But I mean, hey, deserving 250 champion in the West this year. It has to be said. Like he's going to win this title anyway. Even if it go all the way to Salt Lake City, there's no way he's going to lose that title, in my opinion. And in a way, he's now proven that he's kind of become a more Supercross guy, which is one thing that was kind of the knock on him coming into the season. So
I said this on the Vital MX post-race show this morning, and I think it's very, very true. On the podium, he said, this is for the haters who doubted me, or something along those lines. It's like, sir, we all expected you to win this title. If anything, you've under-delivered in the way that you've won it. This is the bare minimum of what we expected from you.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you're right. But also, if there is the doubter side of it that you want to talk about, the doubt that was still on him, the knock that was still on him was that he just has not really fully delivered in Supercross. The SMX titles, outdoors, he's been insane. But until really this year, like he's kind of been, he's close, but he keeps finding ways either to not win or always be the fastest guy or be consistent, which this year he even said post-race press conference, I just wanted to be consistent, man. You win these titles by getting on the podium every week, which he's basically done since round one, which is something that he was proud of. So
has he had a podium every week since round one?
Yeah, I think so. 8 straight podiums now, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of a miss other than that. Yeah, but again, like I think even the doubters would have picked him for this championship.
Oh, yeah.
Especially once Levi was out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so again, like no one questioned this. If anything, we all thought you'd have a lot more wins. So that makes us all cheerleaders.
Well, he wrapped it up around early.
It does feel odd to me that we've crowned a champion. I don't know if I'm just not mentally ready for the end of Supercross, but the fact that we've crowned a champion doesn't quite sit right with me. Like it feels a bit like, hang on, what's going on here?
And the way it happened too, of like he crosses the finish line, and 10 minutes later, now we know for sure that he is the champion. Like,
yeah, maybe that's why.
It is to me that's kind of interesting that like of all the things AMA was prepared for, you would think that they would have had like a scenario lined up, like if Davies and Deegan are tied on points after this race, don't we have like we should know kind of thing? But
yeah, but was it that or was it? I don't know. Was it?
They didn't know what they did not know for sure who had more second place finishes based on the tiebreakers, as far as I understood.
Yeah, but could it not have been that they weren't sure whether they were going to penalise Deegan and therefore they had to quickly kind of figure that out?
I mean, there's a video going around, I think Whiskey Throttle got it, of Pelletier being on the phone talking about what the second place finish rule is or something like that.
Oh, so, I watched that video. I couldn't hear what they were saying at all.
Well, I just heard him say, like, is it official? Is it good? And then, like, walk away. So,
yeah, but that could mean, is it official?
Maybe they were reviewing it. I guess.
Is our verdict, our ruling official?
I guess I just think too much of the AMA that it's dumb in the first place if they even were looking at that pass, in my opinion. But whatever.
I think a guy got sent over the berm, so I think they have to purely just to tick the box.
Okay. No,
I don't know.
Hey, big thanks to Leatt at Leatt Protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And Leatt backed Kyle Chisholm. Got to run Jerry Robbins' number 77 on Friday, was the race 1 winner in the LCQ challenge, and then got together with Devin Simonson in race 2 and all festivities kicked off from there. But it was cool at least to see Leatt, do that and put Jerry's name and number on Chiz's jersey. And yeah, there's a lot of like cool things that happened Friday. We'll get into that in a little bit.
And in more important news, still no communication from Dr. Chris. My attempts to reach out via this podcast have been in in vain.
So you're hoping that like your cries for him, he
yes.
will then just like the bat signal in the sky, he'll just like appear or something.
I like to think that my pleas on this podcast are me stood outside his window with a boombox. It's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
All right.
Maybe he doesn't remember me. Maybe I'm not screaming loud enough. But as of yet, I've not been reunited.
Okay.
I'm sure it's coming. There's no doubt about that. And all we can do is hope and keep working. I also had some criticism about Leatt recently when I said about their signature piece every year. I guess the example I said was snow leopard. And a few people said, oh, the snow leopard is well known in Africa. which is true, but that probably wasn't the best example. But I swear there was a snow leopard gear, and I've just Googled it. Hold on. I'm going to message my old Leatt contact.
I was going to say, I know you know someone at Leatt, so.
Oh, I do, yeah. So we're going to get an answer to this.
All right.
By the end of the podcast.
Mid-podcast update. All right, well, let's jump into my first topic then, because as we said, that Deegan topic will knock off for you there. Okay, so my first topic is, I'm going to combine two topics here because I feel like this has to do with what my question is with this first topic. So Cooper Webb now up 9 points going into the finale here at Salt Lake City. He needs fifth or better no matter what Chase does to win the title. If he finishes sixth with Chase winning, Chase has a tiebreaker on wins then at that point, and they would be tied on points, but then Chase wins the title. So fifth or better for Webb. Basically, my question is, because of all the dynamics that's going on with Jay Coop versus Malcolm Stewart trying to battle for third place in this championship now that Ken Roczen is out of it, I know that some of those contracts usually feature bonuses, coupled with it. They probably both would really like to win the finale, but also, they just need Chase to get as maximum points as well if you're in the KTM group. Where does Cooper Webb actually finish this weekend in Salt Lake City? And then, of course, how close does that make it as a championship fight as well?
Well, I've actually been meaning to say this, and I keep forgetting. Even if it shakes out this weekend that Chase wins and Coop finishes second, it will still go down to 6, which, from memory, will be the closest ending points-wise in some time.
Dungey and Tomac was 5, I think.
I actually think the Webb got closer last year than... Because, obviously, Jet phoned it in, didn't he, at the last round? So maybe Coop was closer than remembering. I'm trying to look at that now, but I'm still struggling very much with the new results system and can't seem to get to the archive. But yeah, so this could potentially be the closest we've had in decades. No?
Well, 2011 was 4 points, 3 points, something like that. It was very close.
Almost.
Decade. And then
Coop,
I'm trying to
Coop
think.
ended up... Coop was still 15 down last year. When it was all said and done. But yeah, we're going to end up in a position where we're looking back on 2025 and saying that was one of the closest races to the checkered flag in some time, I think. Especially if Coop doesn't finish second. I mean, we're kind of giving the win to Chase here. Obviously, anything can happen, but he is the odds-on favourite based on history in Salt Lake City and what we've just seen in Denver. I don't know where Cooper will finish. Part of me wants to say second, because like Denver, he was sick. He wasn't feeling it, clearly. You can tell that from practice times, his demeanour after the race. But he still pulled out a second. So I kind of feel like something similar will happen this coming weekend. But also, I could certainly see Malcolm and Jay Coop beating him. Although, I wonder how briefed Jay Coop will be on the situation. Because if Chase is first, Coop is second, and Jay Coop is third, Jay Coop can pass Coop without having any implications. But I wonder if Jay Coop will still be too nervous and unsure that he'll just sit back.
Well, what I wonder about with Jay Coop in that situation is, okay, yeah, maybe you pass Coop, but if Coop then, if everyone's close and then Coop tucks the front end or something stupid like that, and Jay Coop's already 10 seconds up the road because he decided to pass him and take off, so then it's kind of painfully obvious if he just slows way down with 5 to go. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I don't know.
That could be a reverse bunching.
Reverse bunching.
Yeah, to help someone to catch up rather than...
Do you... I don't really care about this, but are you a little surprised Chase didn't maybe try to do something like that this week?
No. Chase is... I can't think of a single example where Chase has ever done anything like... I mean, the backwards hat may be the most illegal thing he's ever done.
No, to me, I feel like what probably ends up happening this weekend is Jay Coop and Malcolm are just on it and they just fight each other, and Webb is just whatever, guys, go ahead. I was just gonna finish fourth. You guys dispute it or something, and Jay Coop is 6 up on Malcolm, I think. So he's 10 back of Roczen. It's super likely he passes him for third. It's super likely that they both pass Roczen for third, but I think that for their dispute, they're kind of focused on each other, and Webb's just going to let it happen.
See, I fully agree with that, except for the fact that, again, I come back to, I feel like Jay Coop will almost be too unsure of what's going on.
in that scenario, Chase needs to win, obviously, to win the title. I'm sure Malcolm is aware of that. If Malcolm finishes second, J. Coop can still finish fourth behind Webb and beat Malcolm Stewart, get third in the championship, and then obviously Webb is protected. So
I'd just like to honor, once again, if Chase had won in Pittsburgh, imagine where we are right now. We are frothing at the mouth. We are drooling.
But
on
don't
this
ask him
podcast.
about blitzing. Do not ask him about blitzing.
Well, I didn't, Kellen, because I'm a respected member of the media and I know what buttons to press and what not. I did ask
Go ahead.
if I could ride out on the back of his bike in opening ceremonies.
And the answer was?
It wasn't a no. It was, we'd have to get you gear. Which sounds like we're planning. I also asked if I could move in with him.
And the answer was?
Not a no. It was, I have room. So this is what I mean. Respected member of the media. Don't ask about blitzing whoops. No.
Honestly, that could work out really well for you because, like as your situation with getting over here in the first place was, I know how it was. If you move in with Chase, maybe the rent is less so than where you're living right now, and you could really save some cash.
Yes,
You could
you're
replenish
referring to the
savings
fact
account.
that I spent $40,000 on a visa because
I
I'm
didn't know
a
if you
fucking
wanted to say
idiot.
that, so.
Who cares? I'm a fucking idiot. I am.
Do
Fuck Lewis. Oh yeah, spent $40,000 chasing a dream, Kellen. That's
I'm with you on this side. I
no,
was
I'm
just
just
trying to. Okay. But to go back to your thing that you said at the beginning of this, it was 5 points between Dungey and Tomac. It was actually 9 points between Marv and Anderson in 2018, if you can believe that. And then we have to go all the way back to 2011 to find the last time it was.
Sorry, what did you say in 2017? 5.
5. Yep.
So there's a potential that we end earlier, smoother, end shorter than that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like it. Here's what I'll say about this title fight this year. When Tomac and Jet both went out of the championship, there were so many people that were so like bummed that this would not be a good title fight. And as you and I have said many times in the past month or so on this podcast, this title fight ended up really cool. Like two guys, very different personalities, very different ways of approaching a racetrack. Obviously, there's some shenanigans going on a little bit between both of them now with the arm gestures and Webb flinching on the gate in the heat race, and they're trying to get in each other's heads a little bit. It kind of turned into like a really memorable championship.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And like we've got babies, we've got grenades, we've got guns. Like it's great. We wouldn't have any of that if it was other riders.
I mean, I think we would have. Like Jet seems the type of person that would have leaned into that, but Tomac would be like, I don't even care. Like I'm just going to win races and move on.
Imagine Tomac doing a grenade gesture after the finish. It'd be the most foreign thing ever. Like what everyone would just be like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Although Tomac should do that because he would be quite good with like a hunting.
Yeah, like just like down low, like sniper type thing. Yeah.
That would be cool. Drop the bike, lay on the landing of a jump, so you're like peeking over the crest as the second place rider comes around the corner after the finish, and then just go.
Okay.
That's the next thing.
Yeah, that is the next thing. We're deep into the show right now, and I got to get through some topics. So want to give a big thanks to Racetech as well for backing the show. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. And Racetech, again, also a big part of the PulpMX LCQ Challenge. Got the Midnight Sailor Award from Racetech's Chris Riesenberg. That was really cool. And voting is still up for that as of right now, I believe. So definitely head over to verbmoto.com and check that out. All right, my second topic of the day, Big Lou. MXGP of Portugal over the weekend, right? It is called MXGP of Portugal. We don't have another Portuguese race. Yeah,
no,
thank you.
MXGP of Portugal.
At Agueda, whatever you wish to call it. Very cool track. Love that track a lot, but it was a slosh fest this weekend. And again, Lucas Kunin has really established himself here as a force to be reckoned with. And now that we know that Tim Geiser is definitely out for this GP and the next, and likely more, as I believe you tweeted out on Saturday.
Yeah, the rumor I heard, or not the rumor, the report, or the scoop that I heard that may or may not be true, is just what I heard, is that he's having surgery and 3 months.
Yeah, which means he's out of this championship fight. So that really brings it down to Febvre versus Kunin. And Febvre, with his early season success, has built himself up a cushion, if you will, over Kunin. But now Kunin is firing on all cylinders and looks like he might be a little bit unstoppable, at least of the last couple of weeks. I think the gap is 32, something like that, between the two of them. So basically, we talked about this last week, but it was kind of like we have to see where Tim is at. Now that we know it's between these two, do you actually think that Kunin can just straight up do this?
Yeah, I really do. I think I've said it a few times. He's the rider out of the two who can reel off 4 GP wins in a row, which we're kind of in the midst of now. I think I would pick Kunin over Febvre purely because I think we're seeing that Kunin is better. They're both going to crash. They both have a tendency to do that. Let's not forget the reason that Hurlings is a 2021 champ is, in a way, because Febvre just kept making dumb mistakes. It was almost Febvre's to lose with the issues that every other rider ran into. So that'll make it interesting. I do think that it's going to be a game of attrition, as MXGP always is. And again, even more so because of the two riders we're dealing with. But right now, Kunin would be my favourite.
Yeah,
and I think that would be very, very interesting to have Kunin as a world champ. And it's also very, very interesting because Kunin is almost using the Febvre playbook to beat Febvre. Kunin's path to this world championship will be essentially the same path that Febvre took in 2015. He's using that against Febvre. How the shoe falls on the other foot.
I'm actually starting to lean more on the Kunin side a little bit. As a rookie, I've been so skeptical about when we're going to start seeing these crashes and mistakes and other things rear their ugly head, but he's really found a groove of late, which has been very impressive to watch. But on the flip side, what I will say about Febvre, and I feel like needs to be talked about, is that, again, this weekend he went 3-2-2, if you count the quali race. Basically was the second best guy behind Kunin pretty much all weekend. Like, Hurlings obviously got knocked down in the quali race, so you take that out of it, and I guess maybe Hurlings would have been a little bit more on his game. But I feel like Febvre can still kind of just stop the bleeding at any point here. Kind of have a few races in a row where he's the guy that goes 1-1 or 2-1 or whatever. And the gap being what it is, Kunin has to be the guy that does the work. I know that there's a lot of racing left, but Kunin has to not be the one to make mistakes either. So that's also kind of part of what comes into play with this.
Yeah, agreed. Like I said, I do still think it'll be a game of attrition because I think they'll both bleed at points, both figuratively and literally, quite likely. And yeah, I think it'll kind of come down to who bleeds less. But you're right, Febvre is in a position where he can manage somewhat, but you don't want to do that too much, because if Kunin does another GP like this in Spain this weekend, then we're kind of sat in a position where Febvre looks powerless.
I don't necessarily mean that Febvre's already in management mode or anything like that, but I do think that what I'm trying to say with that is, okay, so let's say Febvre goes 2-2-2 in Spain and Kunin goes 1-1-1 in Spain, and that would be a 7-point swing again. So now we're down into almost a single moto range, basically. But then I feel like you could have a stretch there right after that where then Febvre goes 1-1-1-1 or whatever, and then suddenly we're back out to 40-45 points. You know what I mean? Kunin, he's a rookie in this class. He's obviously clicking right now, but he just as easily could also fall back into a couple rookie mistakes, have a big crash or something like that. And because Febvre has the points advantage, it's hard to say that he doesn't find a way to kind of control it a little bit too.
Yeah, and I think to that point, it would be quite important for Febvre to win in a 1-1-1 situation quite soon just to reassert himself a little bit. Because at the moment, Geyser was the shiny toy, and now it's Kunin, and Febvre is kind of just falling into the background a little bit. You have no doubt in your mind that Kunin right now believes that he has Febvre covered. So one GP where Febvre could kind of just remind everyone of who he is would be beneficial, I do believe.
Now, the wild card in this, go ahead if you had another thought, really.
Elephant in the room. I don't think the Hurlings is now going to win this championship. Portugal didn't go as we expected, or I expected, I should say. And we didn't anticipate getting run over. So I'm not sure that this is going to happen.
No, but the elephant in the room, if you will, is that Hurlings is the wild card in this entire picture, because yes, he just had another thing happen this weekend. Cracked rib for sure, or no?
Well, I texted him, but I don't know if it's out. Well, it's fine. I think it's fine. He said it wasn't broken. So
not broken. Okay, so Within
I
a week
really
or
wish
so.
I could say what the text was before that, because his reply actually made me laugh out loud.
Okay.
It was very Hurlings.
Within a week or two, we're going to be close to back to full health with him again. He's been building. He's been getting faster. At some point, I think he begins winning races over these guys again, which then takes points off the board potentially for Kunin, and then kind of plays into this championship dynamic as well, right?
Damn it, Kellen, you're right. Fuck it, I'm back in. Hurlings is going to be the 2025 champ. We're back. You're right.
I'm not saying that at all.
What you said just made perfect sense. You're right. This is going to happen. This is great. I'm fully back in. 90% Hurlings, 5% Federer, 5% Kunin.
Not what I said, but basically...
Those are my title percentages.
He comes into play, right? Like
yeah, of course.
He will win races. Do you think he plays a team game?
No. They're not on the same team.
Oh, but they're on the same manufacturer.
Hurlings, the only way Hurlings is doing that is if he's still negotiating a contract with KTM.
Okay, so no team game.
And that's
not
probably
gonna just
a very accurate statement.
Not just going to J Coop it right behind Webb.
No.
To help out Lucas.
If Hurlings is in the middle of negotiations and he can do that in a race to help him on the negotiation table, he will do that. But otherwise, no.
All right, interestingly enough. But okay, so if you had to stop right now, you would say Kunin title?
Kunin, yes.
I think I'm with you. That's interesting. No question about it. Hey, Partzilla PRMX, the Blaster Power PRMX race team is what they like to be called, not associated with Kawasaki. Yeah, interesting weekend for them. Obviously, the DNQ and concussion for Mitchell Harrison's not ideal, but Cade was, I think, even getting better than what we've seen the last couple weeks since coming back from the arm injury and was 18th. Hunter Yoder might be starting to be a little bit more of our disappointment, though. 17th against this field. I think he's closer to the top 10, as we talked about many times this year. And now we get to see basically the full team roll back out for the showdown coming up next week. So that's very cool. Hey, Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cats, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. A couple PRMX team updates really quickly.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like Mark Finnis will not be racing Salt Lake City. So read into that what you will.
So he's finished. Finished. He's finished.
He will be racing outdoors for the team. So I'll go there. And also, the fender color may change at some point. We'll have to see.
Like
what goes
this
on with
year?
PRMX. No.
Oh,
But,
I was going to say, that would be quite dramatic.
Ongoing negotiations. So
Well, I find it hard to talk about PRMX once again because once again I was a victim of severe abuse from Cade Clayson. So
yeah, this is really going to help.
I don't know how to talk about his performance without bias and aggression. I don't know why he treats me this way. I don't know what I did. All I can say is that I'm going to go to Partzilla.com, make a bumper order, send him my receipt, and maybe this act of love and support to Partzilla.com will make him be nice to me again because I miss those days greatly.
Sad, Cade. No, but we love the guys at Partzilla, PRMX, and everything over there, and we'll give a synopsis on their full season next week after Salt Lake City.
Okay, so next week what we're going to do is we're going to grade. We're going to do a power rankings of that team and their riders, and essentially who has done the best job for the team. That's what we're going to do next week.
You got it. All right, let's talk about the PulpMX LCQ Challenge race. Which I got to be a part of, got to do the play-by-play on the broadcast, which for me was like just a really awesome thing to be able to get to do. I really wanted to do something like that for a long time, so I appreciate Steve and Verb Moto and everyone tasking me with doing that. Yeah, obviously there was an interesting drama afoot as well. Chiz and Devin Simonson getting into each other. Kevin Moran's doing some illegal start maneuvers, but they said it was okay. But he wins the overall 2-2 score, which is super low for that ridiculously odd format that Steve has. And yeah, very interesting PulpMX LCQ challenge, Big Lou.
Yeah, I feel like this race has been promoted as chaos over and over and over and over. And I'm yet to see the chaos that I want. I feel like the banner for this race was come and watch the LCQ takeouts, but that's the entire race. And we're yet to see that. That's kind of what I'm waiting for year after year. So no hate comms, but the race is yet to deliver the type of entertainment I think that we all want. But no hate comms. Just an observation
for you. Do you think it would be better if that race, the second race, was longer? Because this year it kind of
No.
worked out this year kind of worked out where the guy that was at the back of the grid ended up making it all the way almost back to the front. But it would be interesting to see if all those guys going through the field together and you give them 8+1, they do get to the front and maybe they're battling each other for the overall at that point too.
To be honest, I felt like the race is dragged as it was.
Okay, they were fast, man. Even
Not
calling
to,
them, I felt like they were over quickly.
Not to steal the idea from the guy who does that race, but in an effort to one-up him, I'd like to formally announce that next year I will be doing the Lewis Phillips Factory Rider Challenge.
Okay.
And what it is there's going to be a private jet up for winning. I'm bringing out every factory rider. You have to be a factory rider to take part. And, it's going to be my version.
Okay, so you and Gypsy, you'll get on a plane together.
Power.
Yeah, you and Gypsy will get on the whole thing together.
No, this is a Lewis Phillips Factory Rider Challenge.
Well, I feel like if you get together with Gypsy, it really adds some oomph to it, you know?
And a la Steve, obviously I make all the rules. Chase Sexton gets a 1-lap head start. And anyone who tries to stop him from winning is disqualified.
Okay.
So, not so much of a race when you put it like that, more of an exhibition, but yeah, that's just to tease my plans.
You know what I wish that you could do in terms of a race? I wish you could have a Big Lou and Friends race, basically, which is
I don't have any friends, so that would be an empty gate.
Sexton, Hurling, Sewer, Jonas,
Ben,
Calvin.
Calvin,
You're really that tight with Calvin? You would say
like-
Calvin's one of the
yeah.
Big Lou posse?
Max.
Obviously, Max. I like how... Did we talk about what happened this weekend with you?
With Max?
Yeah.
Max wasn't... What the fuck happened with Max? Max wasn't there.
No, you were like, Kellen, a lot of your guys seem to be on Yamahas.
Oh,
I don't really have a guy on a Yamaha.
Yeah, no, we were talking about Kellen's like guys because we all have our guys, and I said to Kellen, "Why all of your guys are on Yamahas? Voland, Wageman, apparently, who knew, etc., etc." And then I was thinking, I went, "It's weird. Of all my guys, and we all know it's a long list, I don't have one Yamaha rider." And then I just sat there silently, and then someone went, "Max?" I was like, "Oh yeah, shit."
But also, you just named that you also are tight with Calvin, who's on a Yamaha too. So, no Yamaha guys to speak
And
of.
Gertz.
Yeah. Yes, you and Gertz. Honestly, when Sewer and Gertz crashed this weekend, I'm like, man, Big Lou's heart must just be in shambles, right? Because his two guys huddled up together on the side of the track.
I don't know how it's going to work, but if I can turn up to Ironman with a nation's team of Chase, Jeffrey, and Max on a Star 250,
You guys would win.
I just don't know how to get that paperwork across the line.
Anything else you'd like to know about this Pulp LCQ race, though, Lewis? You kind of wanted me to deep dive it more?
No, let's hustle because we're late.
Okay. So, yeah, definitely. If you haven't already, head over to pulpmx.com/LCQ challenge. The raffle is still open until this night, like tonight in the middle of the Pulp show, I believe is when it ends, like 7 p.m. or something like that. So I don't want to be dead wrong, but somewhere around there. And over $100,000 raised. Obviously, really cool what they're doing and Yamaha being involved. So, yeah, awesome. And it's cool to be part of the broadcast. All right, let's go ahead and wrap that up. Move into Lewis's two topics on the show. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Namura, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring a vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2025 and beyond, and stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. All right, Big Lou, last 2 topics of the show.
Okay, well, most importantly, I've got my answer. As promised, is Lewis an idiot or not? There was Leatt signature gear for a Leopard. It was not of the snow variety.
Sad.
So I was fake news. Close.
Well, now we know if Dr. Chris listens. This is untapped potential. He can add a snow leopard variety to the leopard gear.
I just don't know what I need to do to touch Chris. I meant emotionally. I meant emotionally.
It was a little much.
I meant emotionally. Like I'm trying to make my pleas touch his heart. That's what I meant.
Okay. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
I'll never forget that time in the back of a van in Lommel. and I just don't know where he's gone.
It's really helping out that sentence.
Yeah, cool. Right, yeah, nice. Anyway, moving on. I had a Coonan's topic, but seeing as you did that, we won't do that. I will do instead, and I do have a non-moto. We'll save that. I'll do one moto first. Julien Beaumer.
Okay.
Extremely difficult to assess his season because, as he pointed out to me, before this year he hadn't had a top 5. By that litmus test, this year has been fucking phenomenal. However, if you're judging it on what we saw in the first 3 or 4 rounds, you could argue it's turned out to be a disappointment. But if we're being fair, I think we need to judge it based on where our expectations were pre-Anaheim 1. But it's difficult to do that because hindsight and all perspective and all of those things come into play. So I think it's really hard to sit here and give an unbiased, unemotional review of how Julien Beaumer has performed this year. Fair?
Yeah, so here's how I rate it, right? I think what really is kind of screwing Julien, if you will, is that Cole Davies has done what he's done because everyone looks at Davies now and is like, oh my, like that's the model for success. You go to futures, you win futures, you come out of futures and you start winning races immediately and you can be a title contender in this class. But to me, Julien's story is that of basically every other would-be or soon-to-be champion that has ever existed in this sport. You come in as a rookie, you maybe show flashes of speed, but it never really works out. Maybe you have some crashes. Then year 2, you start putting the pieces together, you win a race, maybe 2 races, you battle for a championship, but you still have some nagging things, mistakes, crashes, whatever. Then year 3, all the puzzle pieces click, and then you're a championship guy. You go out for all 10 rounds, and you can win a championship. Again, to me, that's how I'd rate Julien Beaumer's sophomore season. He is on track. He is making the necessary steps. He's doing all the right things, in my opinion, to move past some of his hurdles. And I think that deserves way more praise than it does criticism because of how he has not necessarily delivered all the way out through this championship.
Yeah, so to summarize, your verdict is, yes, he had the red plate, but he never should have been expected to hold on to it. So he shouldn't be criticized for that.
Right. Well, what I quickly just looked at right here that I was trying to remember if I had it right or not. Jet Lawrence in his sophomore year got third in the championship too.
Yeah.
And he was really fast and he won races and he was borderline the guy that you would expect to maybe go the distance in the championship. I don't know that I would say Julien's in that same discussion, but Juju's in the same wheelhouse. Like a rough-ish first year of Supercross, had some moments, then battled for a championship in year 2, finished third in the championship. That's exactly what Jet Lawrence did. So
yeah, that's actually that's a really wild comparison. So what is it about? I feel like Juju doesn't get the credit he deserves. Is it the fact that he went toe-to-toe with Deegan and lost? I think so, to a degree.
Maybe. I mean, of course, like as we go back to the Deegan topic of the beginning of the show, Julien was kind of put into a position in this title fight of being the opposite of the Deegan fan base. Even though there's probably a lot of Deegan fans that actually do like Julien, but he became the ire of the sport a little bit in that regard because he was going against the prodigal child. And so I think a lot of criticism is added to that when you don't deliver against it.
Yeah, like, so the Juju Deegan thing has kind of been dead for a month now. Like, I feel like we've moved on because Juju fell out of the title fight. Davies took his position. I feel like that's almost old news. But I published my post-race interview with Juju from Denver. There's nothing in it about Deegan. And all the comments are just basically shitting on Juju because Deegan beat him and you tried to beat Deegan and blah, like quite aggressive, as has become the trend with Deegan fanboys. So maybe that is also adding to it a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like, A, I feel like Juju doesn't get the credit he deserves, but B, I think it's just difficult to sit here and, because I could almost argue any point. If you say it's a failure that he didn't win this championship, I could get on board with that because I really do believe he is that good. Fundamentally, as a Supercross rider, I believe he is that good. And I never doubted him after. When he had the red plate, there was no part of me that was like, apart from the ruts, there was no part of me that was like, this guy's not going to hang on to it.
Yeah.
But also, No top fives prior to this year, sophomore year, etc., etc. All of that makes me want to go, fucking hell, it's incredible that he was in this position in the first place.
Yeah.
Also, it's overlooked that Deegan is a year on from him. I feel like a lot of us look at those two as sort of completely equal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, to a degree, though, they were kind of supposed to be in the same position because Deegan, in his rookie season of 250 Supercross, was supposed to race futures and then outdoors. But he just moved up after, he didn't win the futures race at Anaheim 2 that year. He had a rough night, but he still moved up and raced East the very next week when he wasn't supposed to, sort of, whereas Juju kept going. And that's the year that Juju and Daxton Bennick won basically every race except the last race.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, to me, I now put Juju, and I would not have done this at the beginning of the year, but I now put Juju as 1A, 1B, whatever you want to say, rolling into 2026 for 250 Supercross. Wherever they put him, maybe not East. I think maybe we need to see a little bit more of that, but like I think he should be considered right there with Kitchen and Hammaker and Vial if he doesn't win this title as like guys that should go win a championship next year.
Yeah, I would agree.
We would not say. I don't think anyone really would have said that going into this year.
Would we not have said it after Kitchen went out?
No, I don't think so.
Because we would have had Joe above him.
Right?
We would have had...
Jordan should have been above him too. He should have been above him.
I can't really remember, so there's obviously some evidence out there, but I think I would have had Joe, Jordan, and Juju kind of interchangeable in a bit of a group rather than a clear hierarchy.
Yeah, but Jordan's won races, gone the distance in a championship. Before this year, Juju, as you said, had not even been in the top 5. So coming into this year, yes, I would have. I predicted he would win a few races. I don't think I would have also said he would beat Jordan Smith in a championship, and he's clearly kind of done it. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It goes back to what I said though. Like, ignore all the stats and everything. Fundamentally, I just think he's a really fucking good Supercross rider.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that also clouds perspective a little bit. Like, because I think the pieces of the puzzle, the ingredients are there for him to be really bloody good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like I said, I think to me this year should be considered a success. I know it's tough to do that when you have the red plate and don't win the title, and you can see it all over his face that he's pissed he did not go the distance in this championship. But from where he was at SMX last year till right now is one large step, even if there's a lot of undulations in the road to get
here.
So
fair.
I think it's a win.
Okay. Good. Thanks for that. Do you not have a sponsor read?
Yeah, let's talk about Leatt one more time for the folks at home who are interested. Leatt protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. Snow leopard gear, coming maybe soon.
And once again, Chris. No, I was so deep in with Leatt at one point. I wrote only a couple. I wrote their like PRs. I remember writing a PR about a women's chest protector.
Sad that you wrote their PRs and did not remember that it was not snow leopard gear.
No, I never got to that point. I remember my women's chest protector PR because I was like, I'm reaching here. And at one point, there was even talk about me maybe going to South Africa to visit Leatt's headquarters, but also B, personal time with Chris.
There you go.
Or Doc. Or Doc C, as we should call him, seeing as he's in this sport. Anyway, final topic. Thanks, Leatt, and hi, Chris. I've got 4 here. What one? We could turn this into Moto, Aliens demand to see one human achievement to judge us. What do you show them? How can we... I feel like there's a way to twist that into Moto.
One human achievement that we've done?
Yeah.
But okay, so as an achievement,
Google, by the way.
As an achievement, does this mean like it has to be one human did this achievement, or like we as a collective society?
We as a collective.
Okay, we as a collective society accomplishes. If they're here, I feel like they found a way to do this, so showing them that we could also do space exploration would be stupid of us, because they'd be like,
hey,
yeah,
look,
no
we
shit.
can come and visit you too.
Yeah, like that's dumb. Maybe just like somehow like show them what we've been able to accomplish in terms of like producing energy, like the different ways that we have made energy, like obviously through like, nuclear power and solar power and wind power and all that stuff as well. But like all of the things involved that goes into producing grid power to a community, maybe something like that.
I think I'd show them the 2021 MXGP season review.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Yeah.
No,
try
honestly,
out hurlings and be like, this, they're right here. This is.
I'd show them
human
Monticelli landing on hurlings on the first lap of that motor and be like, "No, guys, keep watching.
It gets
You may
better.
think this is over. Keep watching." And then I'd make a pun when the hurlings wins, and they go, "Wow!" I'd go, "Yeah, that's out of this world, isn't it?" Hey, little reference to them,
There you go.
No, not funny. Thought it was quite funny.
No, it's funny, but do you want to turn this into a moto discussion? Like, what's one thing in moto we should show aliens?
Well, I can't show them energy because I don't understand it, so I'd be a bit of a bad tour guide. I'd bring them in,
I'm not saying.
and they'd
I
go,
would
"Oh, this
show them. I would
is
say-
interesting. What is it?" And I go, "Honestly, it's energy. I don't really know." So what could I show them? I could show them Chase.
Good.
Look at this fine fucking specimen we created. It's probably our best guy. of all of us on this planet, this is probably the best we've got. Have at him. Ask him whatever you want.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Is there anything that amazing?
I don't know. You're the
won't
one that
show
brought
you
this
this
topic to
podcast.
me, so I figured you had an answer.
No, I've got 4 here. I hadn't thought about any of them.
Oh, I mean, like, again, like that's probably such like a boring, lame answer to show them power, but that's the kind
Well, a
of stuff
TV
that,
show, they would love that.
I'm trying to think of stuff that in like the last few centuries have drastically improved or changed that maybe another society would not be as good at, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you'd show them your family because, of course, that's...
I would, yeah. I would definitely
That's
be like,
obviously there's nothing that trumps that.
this is the only thing in life I care about right here, so forget about everything else.
Oh, I really wish Steve would listen to that podcast because he'd fucking die at that. No, I don't know. I can give you another one I've got here. Let's see. You're starting a restaurant, but you can only serve one dish forever. What is it? I think I'd do cheeseburgers. I'd copy the In-N-Out model.
Only one dish forever. Can you like manipulate how you serve that dish?
Yeah, I guess.
Pasta.
No. You've got to do burgers because, like, look at In-N-Out. Look at McDonald's.
Okay, but like, why? If you want to, do you want to have like a fast food chain that makes you a shit ton of money, or do you want to have like a nice upscale place that actually looks more than just like shitty fast food?
No, I'm going for a shit ton of money. Money makes the monkey dance.
All right, well then, yeah, okay, we guess burgers too, or chicken sandwiches. That's also making people a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't really know why. I don't really know why Chick-fil-A is so popular here. Why is Chick-fil-A so popular but KFC isn't?
I have a question for you. Why is Five Guys so popular in London?
Five Guys is a really, like, big thing in England.
I did not know that, dude. It's fucking everywhere there.
Well, it's not just that. Like, they're just all of them are busy, and they're like everyone loves
Yeah.
Five Guys.
Yeah. But you don't know. You don't have any insight.
No? Well, we don't have.
I know
Like, you've got
I
a
know
lot more. You've got a lot more variation than us. Like, we don't have Chick-fil-A. We don't have Wendy's. We
Nando's.
don't have.
We don't have Nando's.
No, but that's a restaurant.
Eh.
There's a restaurant.
Okay.
It's
To me, Nando's is like equivalent of Chipotle.
no. That is
Really?
wildly incorrect.
Really?
Yes.
So you would say Nando's is more along the lines of like
It's table service. That tells you everything you need to know.
Kinda.
It's table. You go in and, well, yeah, okay, I guess you do have to order from an app.
Yeah, you walk up to a counter or an
Yeah, I
app, and
guess
then
there
you
is
order, and then they bring a tray out. But that kind of does happen at other
It's not a
places.
tray,
too.
it's a plate.
Like, you know what I mean?
Tray downplays it a little bit. No, it's a restaurant. It's not fast food.
I'm
it's
not
not
saying
most-
it's fast food, but I'm saying like,
Well, Chipotle is fast food.
yeah, but you do the same thing. You walk in and you order at a bar or whatever.
Yeah, but it's
so,
fast. Like, you sit down, there's music, there's...
no
you
music
drink,
at Nando's.
I don't know. I don't know why that was an example. No, yeah, I'm serving burgers. I'm copying the In-N-Out model.
Okay. Or Five Guys, apparently.
Or Five Guys. Or,
You make a lot of money.
or yeah, no, easy. I'd call it One Guy.
One guy.
Yeah. Unless anyone wants to come in with me. I'm open to investors. I just can't have 4 more because that name's taken.
Yeah. No.
So,
you have 3 guys. You have 6 guys.
Yeah. 5. No, I can't have 5. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I was literally for one number I couldn't say.
I could have 5 too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man. So burgers. I would rather just have like a pasta place.
Yeah, but that's just not. It's not like I find that I don't think people seek out pasta because they can make that at home.
This is like related to that. Isn't it kind of weird that like a pasta fast food place isn't really a thing?
No, because I don't think people want that.
I wouldn't mind like going to like a, because like I think of it in terms of you go to Panda Express, for example, which I would consider fast food. Apparently, I don't know if you would or not, but I would consider Panda Express fast food.
Yeah, cool.
And they have chow mein, which is noodles and shit. And then like they also have fried rice, which is this, again, like it's not pasta, but it's kind of in the same ballpark as like a very unique thing to serve as fast food, and people love it. So
it's just not like the appeal of fast food is that it's kind of unhealthy. No one craves pasta.
I don't think that's the appeal of it, but it tastes good and it's fast.
No one craves pasta, you know? Like, and if you do, you make it at home. Like, I don't think anyone's driving and it's like. Also, it takes longer to eat as well. It's not as convenient. Even if it's made fast, it's not fast. It's not a fast option. Like when you're driving, you're not driving going, "Fuck, I could go for a bolognese right now."
I have an idea for you. Let's do this. You, me, Antonio Caroli come together. We make a fast food chain called Go Fasta Eat Pasta.
Well, that would work, but you're joining the army, so I don't know how that's gonna fit in.
Yeah. People are going to take that literally, so.
Yeah, we were trying to convince Kellen that there are brighter options out there for him, and maybe he's been underutilized in this sport. So we suggested that he joins the Army or the Air Force or maybe the Navy.
Yeah, so.
But then the joke was that Kellen would be in the Army, and he would be sat in like the instruction room, and they'd be like, "Guys, today we are fighting these people," and Kellen would raise his hand and be like, "Sir, I have a family.
Yeah,
I can't do that."
No, I can't. It's
and that's an example of a press box laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Where
yeah, that one got you right red in the face.
It was that and Cherry Coke. Those two.
Well, Cherry Coke too. But then Steve also, I'm watching my job.
I'm watching my job. There was JB and AC were in, and I was watching MXGP. Kellen was watching F1. And JB or AC were like, so none of you are watching Supercross. Lewis is watching MXGP. Kellen's watching F1. And Steve was like, I'm watching my job. Like misspoke, obviously, and that's now become his catchphrase forever. Great time. Yeah. See, we've come full circle. This is basically what happens in the press box.
Yep, and this is exactly how we started the podcast. But no, good show today, Big Lou. Good to see you as always. I'm sad I will not see you in Salt Lake City. Staying home this weekend. Obviously, Don's going for Swap Moto, and you guys have fun at your media dinner. Have fun. Be sure to ask questions in the press conference. I know that you're dialed in for that.
Sweating it.
Press conference on Friday. Big day for Big Lou.
You not being there really puts pressure on me to ask questions as well.
It does, because I would normally take some of that spotlight, but instead it's all you, buddy. All
fucking scares me silly. Honestly, even thinking about it now, like I suddenly feel clammed up and a little bit like panicky. Scares me fucking stupid.
I'll be listening in. Fine-tooth comb on how you do this as well.
I don't know what to ask these people. Which is weird because I ask them questions every week. But that setting confuses me.
It helps. It helped me the very first time I was like starting to ask questions in press conference to at least write it down. If you have a question, write it down.
But I don't want to be that weak.
Don't write it down and read it. Write it down so that you know what question it is and then look up and ask it.
I'm panicking.
Okay. I think you got this, man. This is you all day.
Honestly,
and if there's ever a time to step up and win 2026 or 2025 AMA Media Member of the Year, it's right now, Big Lou. Forget about Chase and Webb this weekend. The real title battle comes down to who asked the best question in this press conference.
Feld would be so proud of me. I'm pretty sure if I ask a question, Feld would literally just run over and hug me mid-press conference and put me on their shoulders.
Joe definitely is going to give you he's just going to be like, a little nod.
I don't like it. Honestly, I'm panicking. I don't like it. I can't do it. I just can't. It scares me. Like, I'm much better in an intimate setting. I can't do school plays.
Yes, you are. Just ask Dr. Chris.
can't do school plays and I can't do press conferences. And the good thing is I don't have to do a school play anymore. So.
Yep, I can't do school plays. That's the title of today's show.
I can't.
All right. Big thanks to Leatt, Race Tech, Partzilla, and Namura for backing the show, and big thanks to all of you who tune in every single week. One more round to go, and then we head to the great outdoors, and we'll see you guys next week to recap everything from Salt Lake City and preview Pro Motocross in 2025. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. Bye-bye.